This is a beginner's guide to very basic processing in Pixinsight. First of all, we take our stacked image. In this case, I'm just using a stack which I took from Deep Sky Stacker because it was quick and easy. So I've got the autosave from Deep Sky Stacker, so I'll just drag and drop that onto the desktop there in Pixinsight, and that's just opened. Now we need to go to Processes, All Processes, and Screen Transfer Function. This allows you to see your stacked image that we've got from Deep Sky Stacker. In Screen Transfer Function, you want to deselect the link here. Now that there links together the LRGB here. What you want to do is do an unlinked stretch so that it does a balanced stretch for you. This process here, when it first opens, links them together, so you want to unlink those, and then we hit our nuclear symbol there and we'll see our image for the first time. So this gives you an idea of what your stacked image will look like. So we can see some of the stacking artifacts which are on the edges here, which we're going to crop out, and that's the Flaming Star Nebula in the middle there. There's some blues and there's some reds that we can see. So the next process we're going to use after this is background neutralization. All I'm going to do is literally drag and drop that onto this image, and then the image will turn a different color. Don't worry about that, that's absolutely fine. So it's turned pink. So we reset our screen transfer function, and then we hit the nuclear symbol again, and we get back to where we were before. So that's the first process. We can just close that down now. We're then going to use color calibration. So we go Processes, All Processes, and Color Calibration. And we're just going to drag and drop that again, just default settings straight onto the image. After doing this again, we reset the screen transfer function. So we hit the reset and then we restretch. The final process we're going to use in this early part of the processing is SCNR. So we go Processes, All Processes, and SCNR. And this is set to green, so this will remove any green hue that's visible. There's a bit across here that we can see, so I'd like to remove that. So I'm just going to drag and drop default settings onto that. Great, so that really has removed that sort of green tinge that we had. Now we're going to try and improve the background on this image. So we're going to try two processes. One is automatic background extraction, and if that doesn't work, we can use a dynamic background extraction. So we go Processes, All Processes, Automatic Background Extractor. And then we need to go down to Target Image Correction. And on the correction, select Subtraction. And then I'm literally just going to drag and drop and see what comes out of this and whether we like it or not. Pixinsight has created two new windows that we can see here. This one is the new image, and this one is the background which it has extracted. If we stretch the background, we'll see this in more detail. So we can see this is what the automatic extractor has removed, and if we look at the new image which it has created and hit the nuclear symbol again, we can see our new image. Now let's compare this. We don't need this background here. So if we compare this to the original image which we have here, it's visible that this has actually removed some of the background, and we can beginning to sort of see some of the additional nebulosity which is around here as well, which wasn't quite as visible before. So I think that's done a pretty good job. I'm going to keep that for now because I'd also like to do a dynamic background extraction and compare the two to see which is better. So we go Processes, All Processes, and then all the way down to dynamic background extraction. Now with the dynamic background extraction, we have to draw samples of where we think the background is all over this image. So what we have to do now is just click anywhere on this image and we get a cross, and then we need to just click on the image and create as many samples of what we think is representative of the background, doing our best to avoid any stars if we can. If you do get a star, like for example there, I've got a great big star, I can just grab that and move it. Didn't quite get it, there we go, just grab it and move it. So I'm just going to go through this whole image and put some sample points on. Okay, that's looking good. I'm now going to go down to Target Image Correction, go to Subtraction again, and then drag and drop this onto the image. Pixinsight has again created a new image and the extracted background. We'll look at the background first, so I'll do a quick stretch on that. And it looks slightly different to the one which was extracted before, which is interesting, but we can discard that. And this is the image which it has created. I'm going to compare this now to the automatic background extraction which we had before, which was this one. The one on the left here is where the automatic background extraction was applied, and the one on the right here is where the manual background extraction. I think the automatic did a slightly better job, so I'm going to continue with this one here. So I'll close the dynamic background extraction, and this is now my new image which I'm going to be working on. I'm now going to crop the image to the area which I want, so I go Processes, All Processes, and Dynamic Crop. And then I literally draw the area which I would like to keep, which is this area here. And I'm just going to rotate it slightly. And then click the OK. That has now cropped our image for us. The next stage is to split the image into its luminance, red, green and blue constituent parts so that we can process each of those individually. What we're going to do is go to Image, Extract and then Lightness. This is the luminance from our image which we have just extracted. So I'll keep that there. And now we're going to do exactly the same, selecting our original image and go Image, Extract, Split RGB Channels. So we now have the blue channel, the green channel, and the red channel as separate individual images which we can work on. Our original image is not changed, it's still there, and we can just minimize that for now if we need to go back to it, so we can keep it up there. We're now going to apply some noise reduction to all of these images which we have here. There is a really good free processing suite called the Easy Processing Suite, and if you look online and go to this address here, which I will put on the screen for you now, you will get to this particular website. You need to copy and paste this web link across the top and put it into Pixinsight. You go Resources, Updates, Manage Repositories, and then it will download the Easy Processing Suite for you. So that's Resources, Updates, Manage Repositories, and then we click Add and we add that web link there. Once you've added this, click OK and then go to Resources, Updates and check for updates, and Pixinsight will install the Easy Processing Suite. Now I won't do that right now because I've already installed it, but if you're doing this halfway through this video and you want to do that, you'll have to save your project before you can continue so that you don't lose the work you've done so far. Once the Easy Processing Suite has installed, it will be under the Script tab at the top, and then we go down to Easy Processing Suite and we want to go to Easy Denoise. So we select Easy Denoise. all we're going to do on here is leave everything as default, and we're just going to run the easy denoise. This does take a long time for each of the images, so I will see you on the other side of this. We now have our luminance, our red, green and blue files which have been through the noise reduction, but all of these files are still linear, and what we need to do now is take them into a non-linear state. By far the easiest way to do this is again using the Easy Processing Suite. So what I'm going to do is go to Script and Easy Processing Suite and down to Soft Stretch. We select that, and we can see here it's taken the autosave for the luminance and it's going to apply a nice stretch to that image for us. So I'll just run that. And that's now stretched this image into a non-linear state. I'm going to do the same with blue, green and red. So we now have all of our red, green and blue and luminance in a non-linear state, which is great. We're now going to combine these together to produce an RGB color image. So we go to Processes, All Processes and down to LRGB Combination. When we open this particular process, you can see that there's a little box on the side here. So for the luminance, when I click on that box, it automatically populates that with the luminance data. It does exactly the same for the red, green and blue. So I'll click on there and I've got the red, the green and the blue. And now we click Apply Global. And we have our new RGB image which it has created for us. If we compare this to our first image as we had it, you can see the difference. The noise reduction has really helped, and the soft stretch has put a really nice stretch onto the image for us to now continue working with. I'm just going to minimize the LRGB files. The next step we're going to take is to remove the stars from this image so that we don't change the shape and colour of the stars whilst we're processing the nebulosity in the background. To do this, we're going to use Processes, All Processes and StarNet 2, which we've got here. StarNet 2 is available as a download from starnetastro.com. You have to go to Download, and you download the installer from this website. Once you've downloaded StarNet 2, you've got to extract the folder, and this is what is in the folder. And there's a very good README file here which tells you exactly what you do. But basically, you copy these files here into your bin folder. So you can see I've got some of them there. Now, I haven't been through the exact process for this within this video. However, the instructions are pretty good, and if you follow them, you should be able to get StarNet 2 up and running. In StarNet 2, I'm going to leave everything as default, but click on Create Star Mask. And now I'm going to drag and drop that onto our image. The star removal process is now finished, and it has created a star mask, which is here, and our starless image, which is over here. I'm just going to minimize the star masks. We'll be using that later on. So we now have our starless image here, and what we're going to do is try and increase the saturation of the colors on this particular image. We go to Processes, All Processes and Curves Transformation. What we're going to do now is click on the saturation, which is the S here, start a preview, and then bring up some of the saturation in our image. So I've just done a gentle curve on that, and if we click here to remove the preview, you can see the difference that's making. I'm now going to apply that to our image. I'm now going to create another preview by clicking with exactly the same curve again to see how much more we can add to this image. So currently that was the previous S curve that we made. So let's just remove that preview. I think we can probably apply one more to that with the same. So I'll close the preview and apply that to our image. Okay, that's really brought out the reds. What I want to do now is create a mask to protect the background that we have here. So we're going to go to Processes, All Processes, and down to Range Selection. We create a preview of the range selection and then bring the upper limits down until we begin to see our nebulosity. Everything that's white here I want to protect, and everything that's black I want to affect with my color changes. So I'm just going to increase the fuzziness so it's a little bit more fuzzy, and then the smoothness of that as well, and then we're going to create that. Here is our range mask which we've just created. I'm now going to drag and drop that onto the image that we're trying to work on. Everything that is red here is going to be protected. Now the bit that we want to work on is actually the bit that's red, so we can go to Mask and Invert Mask, and we can now see that everything that's red has swapped around, and we're now just going to be working on the individual elements that are visible. And if we go to Mask and Show Mask, we're back to our image as well, but we've still got the mask applied. So let's go back to Curves and reset that tool, and then create a new preview. And again in saturation, I'm just going to bring up the saturation, only this time it's not affecting those protected areas. I don't want to do too much here, just want to do enough. Okay, that's looking quite good. Just going to apply that. That's looking pretty good, so I'm going to remove the mask by going Mask and Remove Mask. So that has now turned back to grey from brown. The next stage is to add back in our stars in this particular image. So what I'm going to do is go to Processes, All Processes, and down to Pixel Math. Pixel Math allows us to add the files back together with our star mask that we have here. In Pixel Math, we need to click on the Expression Editor and select our image, which is image 20. So we just click on there, and then we want to add that together. So Add, and then in our stars here, I only want to add about 0.8 of them back in. So I'm going to go 0.8 times star mask, which I've got there, and then click OK. And then the destination here, I want it to create a new image. So I just click Create a New Image, and then we click on Apply. And we can see here that Pixel Math has created a new image for us, including the stars. But the stars have been not fully added back in, just 0.8 of those has been added back in. I'm pretty happy with how the image is going, so what I'm going to try and do now is just go back into Curves and then reset the tool, open a preview. I'm just going to the RGBK, and then I'm just going to pull up the image a bit more and then pull down the blacks as well a tiny bit. So this is really beginning to come through now. I think what I might do actually when I finish this image is crop in this area a bit. So I'm going to apply that now. That's great. So what I'd like to do finally is create a preview of an area. So we click on here, and then we draw an area we want, which is there, just a small area, and that creates a preview tab, which is up here. So we click on that, and we can see here there's quite a lot of noise that we can see in this image. We're going to improve that by using Processes, All Processes, and TGV denoise. We've created this little preview so we can see the effect quite quickly on this. I'm going to reset the tool, and then I'm just going to drag the defaults onto this image to see what the impact is. That's actually improved things quite a lot, so let's have a look. Reset preview, and it's really brought out some of that mottling that you could see, particularly in the reds. That's looking better. I think I'll apply that to the main image. So I'll go back to the image, go to preview, delete all, and then apply this to the image. The denoise has now finished, so I'll just minimize that. Let's have a quick look at the image. That's not looking too bad, which is great. I think we're pretty much finished with where I want to be with this image. There's a lot more that you can do on this, but one final process which I think is worth running just to decrease the noise a bit is to go again with our easy processing suite back to script, easy processing suite and easy denoise, and then running this whole image complete through this process one more time. I'm going to do this off camera and I'll come back when it's finished. The noise reduction has now finished, and let's have a quick zoom in, have a quick look at the image. And it's much cleaner than it was before, which is great. Now I'm going to save this particular image off. So I go to File, Save As, and then I give it a particular name. And then I'm going to save it as a TIFF file, and then click Save. It then asks you to change the sample format, so I'm going to go to 16-bit. Click OK. So if I go into the folder, here we are, and we open up the image which we've just edited. That's our final edit which we have there. And what I'm going to do now is open that in GIMP. What I'd like to do in GIMP is crop this so that I've just got this area here, because this particular area, although it's nice to see this extra nebulosity, I think the main bit of interest is kind of here. So I'm going to just get the cropping tool. And that's roughly what I wanted to do, and then I'm going to export this as a cropped image, and I'm also going to export it as a JPEG as well. And now when we look at our finished image here, that's the final cropped image of the Flaming Star Nebula.